The Cravathi warship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a blade through silk, its hull scarred from 1,000 battles across a dozen systems. Commander Threxar stood at the observation deck, his forearms crossed in anticipation, his crimson eyes fixed on the blue-green planet below. Behind him, his pack of elite warriors prepared their weapons with practiced efficiency. They had come for blood. 3 cycles ago, a human research vessel had stumbled into Cravathi territory. The encounter had been brief, violent, and according to the fragmented distress signal, 2 Cravathi cubs had been taken, stolen. The penalty for such an act was absolute. Total annihilation of the offending species outpost. The Cravathi did not negotiate. They did not show mercy. They were apex predators, feared across 17 sectors, and their young were sacred above all else. "Sir," First Hunter Velmora approached, her claws gleaming in the ship's dim light. "We've located the human settlement. Population 47. Military capability minimal. They won't even see us coming." Threxar's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "Prepare the assault team. We take the cubs first, then we make an example of these humans." Jack Henderson wiped the grease from his hands, squinting at the moisture reclamator he'd been repairing for the better part of 3 hours. Colony Station Epsilon wasn't glamorous. Just 23 prefab structures on a backwater planet that barely registered on the Federation's charts. But it was home, and someone had to keep the equipment running. "Jack!" Anna Martinez burst into the engineering bay, her dark hair disheveled, her eyes wide with panic. "We have a problem. A big one." Jack stood, his easy smile fading. "What kind of problem?" "The Cravathi kind. There's a warship in orbit." Anna pulled up a holographic display from her wrist device, and according to the automated logs, a research team brought back 2 something 3 days ago. "They're in the biolab." Jack's blood ran cold. The Cravathi were legendary, even on the frontier. Stories of entire colonies wiped out, ships reduced to cosmic debris, all in the name of their honor code. "Show me." They ran through the compound's narrow corridors, past startled colonists who were already beginning to whisper about the dark shape they'd seen in the sky. The biolab was at the settlement's edge, a small facility used mostly for agricultural research. Anna keyed in her override code, and the door hissed open. Inside, in a makeshift enclosure of blankets and heating lamps, were 2 creatures unlike anything Jack had ever seen. They were roughly the size of large dogs covered in downy silver fur, with oversized eyes that reflected the light like mirrors. They huddled together, trembling, clearly terrified. "They're babies," Anna whispered. The research team didn't even know what they'd found. They thought they were rescuing abandoned wildlife. Jack approached slowly, keeping his movements gentle. The cubs watched him with wary intelligence. One of them made a sound, a high-pitched chirp that tugged at something deep in his chest. "They're scared," he said softly. "Probably taken from their parents. God, no wonder the Cravathi are coming." Anna checked her device again, her face going pale. "Jack, they're landing." 2 minutes out. "We need to evacuate," but Jack was already moving. He knelt beside the enclosure and carefully gathered both cubs into his arms. They were surprisingly light, their hearts hammering against his chest like tiny drums. One of them buried its face into his shirt, still chirping softly. "What are you doing?" Anna demanded. "Making sure they don't get hurt in the crossfire," Jack said. "If we run, the Cravathi might destroy the whole settlement looking for them. If we stay..." He looked down at the frightened creatures clinging to him. "Maybe we can give them back. Show them it was a mistake." Anna stared at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Then we stay together." They made their way to the central commons, the largest open space in the colony. Jack sat down on the ground, cross-legged, with both cubs cradled against his chest. Anna sat beside him, her hand finding his. Around them, colonists whispered and argued. Some wanted to fight, others wanted to flee. Jack ignored them all, focusing on the 2 small lives pressed against him, gradually calming, their breathing slowly synchronizing with his own. The Cravathi assault team materialized in the settlement's center in a shimmer of blue light, weapons raised, ready for slaughter. Threxar stepped forward, his battle armor gleaming, his plasma rifle tracking for targets. His warriors fanned out in a perfect formation, a killing machine honed by centuries of warfare, but they found no resistance. In the middle of the commons area sat a single human male, unarmed with something cradled against his chest. Beside him, a human female sat with her hands visible, empty. Threxar approached, his weapon trained on the human's head. And then he saw them, his cubs, asleep, peaceful, curled against the human's chest like they were nestled against their birth mother, their small bodies rising and falling with the rhythm of the human's breathing. The Alpha froze. His warriors froze. In all his years of battle, across all the worlds he'd conquered, Threxar had never seen anything like this. Cravathi cubs didn't trust easily. They certainly didn't sleep in the presence of strangers. Their instincts were too sharp, their fear too ingrained. Yet here they were, completely at peace in this human's arms. Jack looked up, meeting the alien commander's eyes without flinching. "They were scared," he said quietly. "Your cubs. Someone took them by mistake thinking they were helping, but they've been terrified this whole time." He paused, his hand gently stroking the soft fur of the sleeping cub. "I just wanted them to feel safe. Before you came for them." Threxar's grip on his weapon loosened. He knelt slowly, his massive frame lowering until he was level with the human. Up close, he could see the exhaustion in the human's face, the protective curve of his body around the cubs. "You could have run," the Alpha rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. "You could have used them as shields, as bargaining chips." Jack shook his head. "They're children. They've been through enough." For a long moment, silence stretched between them. Then Threxar reached out with one clawed hand, impossibly gentle, and touched his cub's head. The infant stirred but didn't wake. Secure in its strange sanctuary, the Alpha stood, and with a gesture, his warriors lowered their weapons. "I came here to paint your world red," Threxar said, his voice carrying across the silent commons. "To teach your species the price of touching Cravathi young." He looked down at Jack, at Anna, at the sleeping cubs. "But I see now that your people do not understand our ways." This was ignorance, not malice. He carefully gathered his cubs from Jack's arms. They woke briefly, chirping in recognition before settling against their father's armored chest. "You protected them," Threxar continued. "You, who had every reason to fear us, chose to comfort frightened children. This is not the action of an enemy." He turned to his warriors. "Stand down. There will be no vengeance today." As the Cravathi prepared to depart, Threxar paused. "Human, what is your name?" "Jack Henderson, sir." "Jack Henderson." The Alpha's mandibles clicked in what might have been a smile. "The Cravathi do not forget debts. You have made a friend this day, an ally. Should you ever need the strength of the pack, you need only call." And with that, they were gone, dissolving into light and shadow, leaving behind a settlement that had just avoided annihilation through a single act of compassion. Anna let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. "Jack, you just made first contact with one of the most dangerous species in known space by babysitting." Jack laughed, a slightly hysterical edge to it, and pulled her close. "Yeah, that's going in the report as diplomatic incident resolved through cross-species childcare protocols." Above them, the Cravathi warship ascended into the stars, carrying its precious cargo home. And in the command center of Station Epsilon, a new entry was logged into the Federation database. Humanity, potential pack members. Status, under protection. Sometimes, the galaxy learned, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology or tactics. It was the simple, profound instinct to comfort a frightened child, no matter what species they belonged to.